Hello and a very warm welcome to you. This is another very exciting and informative and educative episode of your #1 legal talk show, The Courthouse, where we get to learn the law together in plain, simple and entertaining language. And I fondly call it our Law Class 101. On the show, we talk about your rights. We talk about all you need to know about the law. I am Ito Han Olomu-Agbodo. First, we'll go on a quick break. We'll be right back.
It's been 10 years. Yes, Law Class is 10. Thank you, our esteemed viewers, for making us your preferred station. Thank you for staying with us through the years. You are a part of our success stories. It's our festival of vibes.
You're welcome back. If you just joined us, this is the Courthouse, and this week on the show we are going to be taking a look at the death penalty. The death penalty is a capital punishment that you are going to be finding more about on the show this week. And this week we're joined by a legal practitioner and a consultant, and she's also a member of the Advisory Council of the Global Shapers Community, an initiative of the World Economic Forum, and she is a lady. She is Precious WACHIKWU. You're welcome to the Courthouse.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's good to be here.
Okay, so give us a general background to the death penalty.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. In Nigeria, there are 3 types of offenses. There's a simple offense, there's the misdemeanor, and then there is the felony. So the simple offenses are offenses that the punishment is for imprisonment less than 6 months. Then misdemeanor from 6 months to 3 years, and then felony from 3 years up to the
maximum
death penalty.
Death. Okay.
Yes. So the death penalty has been it was part of our received English law. So in Nigeria, we got the received English law from the England, common law of England. So it's been a part of our law since then. It is a punishment meted out to people that commit murder, treason, treasonable felonies, armed robbery, and then in some states in Nigeria, they've added kidnapping to it.
Kidnapping, human trafficking.
Yes, and then when we get to the northern states, between 2000 to 2013, 12 states in northern Nigeria introduced the Sharia law. Now, under the Sharia law, death penalty is prescribed for punishments like adultery, apostasy, blaspheming against Muhammad. So you can see that in Nigeria there are several offenses that prescribe
the death penalty as punishment.
Yes.
Quite interesting. But is it, I know that the death penalty is actually a very, very controversial topic, and a lot of countries globally have been trying to expunge it from their laws, and even the United Nations is one of the bodies kicking against the death penalty.
Yes, so you see the death penalty is it's an international controversial debate, really. There are the retentionist countries. Nigeria is a retentionist country. And then there are the abolitionist countries, the countries that have abolished the death sentence from their body of laws. Now, there are several arguments for and against it. The arguments for it are retribution, meaning that the demands of justice require that a person that kills should be killed. It comes
from the law of Moses,
yes,
an eye for an eye.
An eye for an eye. So it has like a religious backing to it. And then there's deterrence, like, oh, if we kill this person for committing this offense, others would
stay away from
it.
Things.
But there's this research by a Japanese psychiatrist, and he's found out that deterrence doesn't really work, because the offense is committed usually in the heat of passion. So, and then he's interviewed several convicts, and at the point where they were committing the offense, they said they didn't remember They didn't think about the punishment, even if they were aware that there was a punishment. So there was no deterrence, because at that time,
You're not even capable of thinking.
exactly, they were not thinking, so, okay, so what are you deterring, really? And so there's the recidivism. That means you want to stop something even before it happens. So if I kill you for doing this act, I incapacitate you from ever repeating that act. So these are like the arguments for and against it. I mean, a retention is to say, okay, see the case, the Nigerian case of Chukwuemeka Ezeogo and the States, where the pastor burned 6 members of his church, you know. So what do you know, the state has to take out its vengeance on this person. So it's more like the only punishment that can assuage for this kind of offense is the death penalty. So that's the argument. Now the abolitionists, they're saying, I mean, there's the right to life and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I mean, it provides for the right to life in unqualified terms. Yeah. Everybody's entitled to life, to the security of his person. There are no qualification. But, you know, bear in mind that in Nigerian law, Section 33 provides for the right to life.
That's on 1999 Constitution as amended.
Yes, as amended. But it is qualified. It says everybody's entitled to the right to life, except the person's right, the life can be taken in execution of
an order of the court.
Yes, an order of a court where a person has been found guilty. So there's the Constitution, the grand norm of the land, actually stamps
the death
sentence.
So what does that say about us? Like you said, we have this retentionist approach towards laws, received laws, even when other countries are pushing those laws aside, expunging them from their criminal codes, we still retain them. So what does that say about our legal system?
We need to have a rethink. What do we want? What do we want to do? How do we want to move forward? How do we want to move forward? Do we want to expunge? You know, laws are, you need to understand that laws are based on a whole lot of events, especially the societal perception. What does the average man think of the death sentence? I mean, the average Nigerian, you've killed somebody, he wants vengeance. That's it. So the legislators are they're trying to strike a balance, really. But it will amaze you to know that Amnesty International, during their global report on the death phenomenon in 2018, they found out that there were over 19,000 inmates in Nigerian prisons on the death row. They are awaiting execution. So you see that in as much as there is the law prescribing death sentence, states, because the state governors, the president have to sign off on it, they are not very willing to, you know, it's a cultural thing, like, I don't want to be the one to sign the death warrant of somebody. Okay. So you see that then there's now the death row phenomenon, which means that this person has been sentenced to death, but he can be on death row for 20 years, for 15 years. He has not been sentenced. So there's this anguish. I wake up every day, I don't know, is it today I'm going to die?
So is it like, you said they don't want to be the ones to sign off on the death penalty. So they don't want to feel like they've killed someone, right? Exactly. Is it like the Pontius Pilate phenomenon of washing their hands off? But don't you think it's not just better or more humane to actually carry out the execution once and for all? After all, you've sentenced a person to death. Like you said, the person wakes up thinking, is today the day I'm going to die? Is today the day that I'm going to be executed, and things like that? So what's your general reaction towards that state of affairs? Okay, so
yes, what do they want to sign it off? They don't want to sign it off. It's a problem, really. It is. It's the death row phenomenon is a problem. And then abolitionists have an argument that the way and manner in which execution is carried out is even, it amounts to torture. I mean, Section 402 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 provides that the sentence will be carried out by hanging or lethal injection. But usually it's hanging. Now, you're hanging someone. It's too much anguish, really, for the person that has already been condemned. So maybe now that there's a provision for lethal injection, maybe that's an easier way out to just get it over it once and for all. But it's also important to note that there are exceptions to, death sentence. Like if a woman is pregnant, Section 404, if a woman is found to be pregnant, the sentence will be pronounced, but the execution will not be carried out until she has put to bed and weaned the child.
Wow.
Now, the previous law was that the sentence will be commuted to life imprisonment, but that's no longer the case. The sentence will be pronounced, but the execution would be delayed
at a later date.
And then there is also juveniles. A person that has not attained the age of 18 cannot be sentenced to death. The judge can sentence the person to life imprisonment or whichever punishment he feels is best.
But not the death penalty.
So,
okay.
Yes, and then the criminal code provides for in the defense of insanity. So a person that is found to be insane at the point of committing an offense, an offense that requires capital punishment, he cannot be sentenced because he doesn't have the state of mind
to actually carry out such
yes,
offense.
so the criminal responsibility cannot be attributed to him because he doesn't have the mental state for that.
Okay.
Exactly.
Quite interesting. We've been listening to Precious WACHIKWU, and she's been talking about the death penalty. Death penalty is required for offenses described as capital offenses, offenses like armed robbery, offenses like murder, and things like that. We have a report on this topic. We'll be right back.
Capital punishment, also known as the death penalty, is a government-sanctioned practice whereby a person is put to death by the state as a punishment for a crime. The sentence ordering that someone be punished in such a manner is referred to as a death sentence, whereas the act of carrying out such a sentence is known as an execution. A prisoner who has been sentenced to death and is awaiting execution is referred to as condemned and is said to be on death row. Crimes that are punishable by death are known as capital crimes, capital offenses, or capital felonies, and vary depending on the jurisdiction, but commonly include serious offenses such as murder, cases of rape, child sexual abuse, terrorism, treason, espionage, sedition, amongst others. 56 countries retain the capital punishment, 106 countries have completely abolished it de jure for all crimes, 8 have abolished it for ordinary crimes while maintaining it for special circumstances such as war crimes, and 28 are abolitionists in practice. Capital punishment is a matter of active controversy in several countries and states.
You're welcome back. This is still the courthouse, and we've been talking about the death penalty, capital punishment for offenses like murder, offenses like armed robbery, and we still have Precious WACHIKWU, a legal practitioner and a legal consultant, here with us. And you were talking about the fact that someone that has been found to be insane cannot be sentenced to death, and you also talked about commutal of some sentences.
Yes.
So can you elaborate more on the current state of the Nigerian law, and if you like to elaborate on other jurisdictions as well?
Okay, so current state of law, as I said earlier, is that insanity is a defense against punishment and death sentence because of criminal responsibility, the inability of the person to be criminally responsible for his actions.
Okay.
Okay, so Yes, he cannot be sentenced to death, but he's not going to be let free. He's going to be committed in an asylum. You know, at the pleasure of the governor or the president will decide what will be done to him. But usually, he's sent to the asylum. So it's not as though you are left, you are committed to the asylum. Do you understand? For your safety and for the safety of the public as well. So, and now there are several international instruments that have, you know, abolished death sentence. I mean, you have the European Charter of Human Rights, the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, American Convention on Human Rights. All these conventions have abolished
the death penalty.
The death penalty. And the second protocol to the ICCPR. Now, Nigeria has not signed or domesticated that law. So that is, even though we are signatories to the ICCPR, because we have not domesticated it yet, Section 12 of the Constitution, 1999 Constitution, before a law is applicable in the land, it has to be domesticated.
Yeah.
So that has not been done. So the issue of flouting international provisions is still a bit tricky.
So that's death row phenomenon, the issue, the phenomenon of actually leaving people on death row without executing them. Which can you say is worse? The execution, the sentence of death, or the death row phenomenon?
I think that the death row phenomenon, for me, I think, because the anguish, if you're on death row, because you, excuse me, when the sentence is pronounced, did I mention when the sentence is being pronounced, the judge has to wear a red robe and a black cap to signify the gravity of the penalty. Do you understand?
So now, when you see the judge in that regalia,
everybody in court just knows,
and
oh
red,
my God.
You know, it's the end, and the person probably starts crying. And
yes, of course you could appeal. I mean, you will be afforded opportunities to appeal. But unlike other crimes where your appeal is state-sponsored, here you have, is from your personal pocket. You have to, you know, take your matter to maybe the Court of Appeal and then the Supreme Court. It takes time, meanwhile. It takes time, and then it takes money. So most convicts are not able to access the court system in terms of appealing. Not because they are being stopped, but you know, financial constraints are not allowing them make use of this systems.
So, recommendations.
Okay, I think my number one recommendation is that the number of offenses that require death sentence in Nigeria should be reviewed. Really.
Should be reviewed. But you're not saying the death penalty should be removed totally.
Well, the death sentence, I think that it should be removed. But I'm saying reviewed because I'm saying these are things that are likely to happen. You know, when you're talking about removal, there's just a whole lot of issues around that, especially in Nigeria. But at least let's start with baby steps. We review the number of offenses, we reduce them. Okay, it's just murder. Really, let it just be murder. Not
and terrorism.
Terrorism, maybe treasonable felonies, instigating the invasion into Nigeria. Okay, fine. But when you're talking about adultery, you're talking about
well, that's for the Sharia law, so it's applicable to those that are subject to that law. Yes,
it is. But we are looking at it holistically now, like the entire country, I think. So it really should be reviewed, and if possible, it should be removed entirely. I think life imprisonment is enough punishment, really.
Because, you know, you won't be able to gain freedom to
exactly,
do the things
for the
you
rest of your life.
Okay, about the issue of the 70-year-olds and the 85, of course, it's not applicable to us on this side of Zion anyway, but we're talking about the death penalty, and it's something that you want reviewed, reduction of the offenses that carry the death penalty. And I think that is something that the government should actually consider take notes of it and work on reviewing it. And let's look at the other aspects. I know this is your first time on the courthouse, but we told you about Latin maxims. You tell us your favorite Latin maxim, or you choose one Latin maxim for this week, then you tell us the meaning.
Okay, nemo dat quod non habet. I think it's...
Why do lawyers like that?
I don't know. It's just...
Because
it sounds nice.
It sounds nice.
Okay, it means that a person cannot transfer title, property title, which he himself
doesn't have. So you cannot give what you do not have.
So you can't give what you don't have.
Okay, because we talked about something very somber and serious, the death penalty. Let me stick with capitalis or caput. Capitalis originated from the word caput. It's a Latin for the head, beheading. And I am not for the death penalty, but I think I will stick with your suggestion that the number of offenses that carry the death penalty should be removed.
Yes.
But this week, I'll just go with that capitalis, caput. And you get to find out more Latin maxims in our Bar Book segment. Welcome back from our Bar Book segment, but it's time for us to draw the curtain on this episode. We talked about the death penalty, and we are calling for a review of our laws to reduce the number of offenses that carry the death penalty, because life is actually very sacred, and that is why the Universal Declaration of People's Rights, constitutions all over the world, even our constitution, provides for safeguards to the right to life. At this time, I must say thank you for being our guest this week on the courthouse.
Thank you too. Thank you for having me.
I would like to see you some other time.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I also want to say thank you to you for staying tuned this week to the courthouse. And we'd like to hear from you. We'd like you to use our hashtag the courthouse, hashtag Love Applause, to drop comments that you want responses to. And you can also send questions to us. We have a panel of legal experts who are ready to provide answers to those questions. We'd also like you to download our app, Love Applause, on any of the mobile app stores. And you can get updates and drop your comments on our website on www.loveapplause.tv. I am Olomu-Agbodo. I say, don't just get mad, go get a lawyer. Bye for now.